file.
I know. That's why you're here.
A reluctant thief turned secret agent investigates a mysterious kidnapping.
Someone is trying to frame me. You've got to help me.
But you're just too hot, Farmer. Shoot the traitor. Now.
Michael Caine stars in the suspense thriller, The Ipcress File. Saturday night at 8, only on Channel 13.
Next on Mystery, we welcome a new member to our detective family.
Detective Chief Inspector Alleyn, Scotland Yard.
Good to meet you at last.
A man with a simple detective philosophy
If a wrong has been done, it has to be put right.
that will always get results.
I dare say that'll be a matter for expert opinion.
Inspector Alleyn on Mystery.
Thursday night at 9, only on Channel 13.
Now here's a bite from Newton's apple.
Acid rain is rain that's being polluted by factories and cars. It kills the fish, the animals. It takes more care in taking care of the streams. We gotta figure out somehow to make a car that does not pollute gas.
Acid rain has been with us for a long time, but at the Wolf Ridge Environmental Learning Center in northern Minnesota, students still study acid rain because its impact on the environment is ongoing. Northern Minnesota, like the Adirondacks in New York, is one of the most acid-sensitive areas in the United States. The students were all too eager to show me how much I had to learn.
Where does acid rain come from?
Clouds.
What is acid rain?
Rain that's acid.
What is that sort of too?
I know that one, sulfur dioxide.
How does acid rain affect you?
Good question.
What's buffer?
It's like a cushion.
What is pH?
It's a measurement of how acid...
Is acid rain harmful? How do you test
Sure.
for acid rain?
I don't know. I decided I better start with the basics. In Eric Westerland's class, all the elements of acid rain come alive. The basic elements are the sun, a power plant, clouds, and of course coal, which must be burned and released into the atmosphere.
And what's contained in the coal? You guys? Sulfur. And now Peggy comes out of the smokestack,
I'm burning
she's released. She starts blowing around in the atmosphere, having a good time. And, oh, it's a beautiful day out. It's a beautiful day out. Here, can you stand up here? The sun is shining.
Oh, no.
Oh, isn't it bright out, you guys?
It's
You gotta put
beautiful.
those shades on. You know, we've got a couple clouds that are floating around.
Clouds are floating.
Along with that, well, that somewhat innocent-looking sulfur dioxide right now. And, hey, they get together. They're having a good time. And they kind of link arms. They're having a real good time.
We're having a reaction.
And there's a chemical reaction. Dun, dun, dun. All of a sudden, Peggy doesn't look the same anymore. She is no longer the innocent sulfur dioxide. She turns into, ooh, sulfuric acid. The clouds release the sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid falls down, and the plant starts getting weaker and weaker. Oh, you're not feeling so good. And the sulfuric acid is pounding the plant down. And eventually, there you go.
Sulfuric acid released into the atmosphere shows up right here.
What we're going to do is mimic a snowstorm. And then when it fell on there, the snow melted. There's a little heater. And then completed the circuit between the two pieces of metal, just like plugging in your toaster. Sends the current in. And so this is only open at times of snow and rain.
Why is that?
Because we don't want dust falling in there. We don't want leaves falling in there. Only rain and snow.
Makes it pure sample?
Yep. They can build up a
Acid
whole
emissions
year's
are
worth of
collected
data
each
to
week
figure
at the
out
Wolf
how
Ridge
much
Monitoring
acid
Station.
was
Peter
deposited
Harris sends
from
rain
the
and snow
atmosphere
samples to
onto
the
the
Minnesota
soil.
Pollution Control Agency for analysis.
Now, this is what you get through precipitation, but
Right.
you also test just the dry particles in the air, right?
50% of the acids associated with acid rain fall out in snow or rain, but then another 50% fall out in dry precipitation.
Results
Acid levels in precipitation have been found to change with the seasons.
Well, snowstorms a lot of times are associated in the early spring and fall with bare earth.
Yeah.
And North Dakota, South Dakota, those fields are bare, and the wind comes and blows the dust into the atmosphere. It mixes with the snow, we get snert. And that snert falls to the ground, and it's got chemicals in it from the ground. Actually, the opposite, in a way, from the acid rain. It's what we call bases.
Things in the soil neutralize the acid.
Yes.
Is that a good thing?
It can be good sometimes, but anything in excess in the atmosphere isn't good.
Soil neutralizes acid naturally. However, northern Minnesota is particularly sensitive to acid rain because the soils are shallow and lack high concentrations of limestone. It's the calcium carbonate in limestone that's such an effective acid neutralizer. That's why the pH or acid content of rain is often higher than the acid content of a lake.
What we're doing now is we're going to take a sample of the water. Actually, we take two samples so that one is a control. So we'll have one control bottle in here, and then we'll have another bottle, which will put an indicator. That's a liquid.
That's this stuff?
Yeah, liquid solution that changes color depending on how much acid is in the water. Look at that. And then we'll close it up. When the two are in there, the two water samples, we'll turn the dial until the two colors match, and that will give us a pH number.
Naturalist B.J. Kolstad showed us how to measure the pH or acid content of lakes and streams.
So you're saying it's between 6.5 and 7.0?
Yep. So really what you want from water in a stream is base, 7.0.
Yeah.
Like 7 to 14 is pure base. If you get lower than 4, it's acid.
You get lower
Extremely
than
acid.
Yeah,
It's lower than 7.
If you get lower
than 5, it's extremely acid.
That's right.
Well, this isn't too bad then.
Yep, that's right. This stream has a pH of 6.5, so you're right. There's a little bit of acid in the stream, but that's okay because most living things live between 4 and 8 on the pH scale. But a lot of the animals that should live in the stream can't live below 6.
The pH level not only determines which animals will survive, but it may also be linked to the mercury content found in fish.
One of the functions of the acid rain is it enables, they believe, a carbon atom to be put on with a couple other atoms, to be put onto mercury like you'd find in a thermometer. That's called methylation. And when it's methylated, it's taken up into the fish. And to get that methylation, they believe, that increases with the acidity of a lake or stream.
So the higher the acidity of the water, the faster the mercury is absorbed into the fish?
That's what's...
Or changed into a form that it can be absorbed?
Yes, exactly.
We've known about acid rain for 150 years, and we've learned a lot about how it can slowly eat away at the environment. The good news is many places have drastically reduced their pollution emissions, and we've seen dramatic improvement in area lakes and streams. The bad news is sensitive areas like northern Minnesota have very little margin for error. So although the issue of acid rain is an old one, it's still with us. Increased levels of mercury in fish today might not show up in falcons, eagles, and otters for another 20 or 30 years, but they will show up because air and water connect us all.
Newton's Apple is made possible by a grant from 3M and its employees, dedicated to innovative thinking and scientific learning. 3M, innovation working for you.
This is PBS.
Edward R. Murrow said it most simply. This instrument can teach. It can illuminate. Yes, and it can even inspire. But it can do so only to the extent that humans are determined to use it to those ends.
The Civil War defined us as what we are, good and bad things.
I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
What we bring is the truth about who we are, what we are, where we came from, and maybe even whether we have company out among the stars.
This instrument can teach. Public television.
This is Channel 13, TV worth watching for Dallas, Fort Worth, Denton.
Channel 13 weather, mostly cloudy, a slight chance of some widely scattered thunderstorms overnight. Some could be severe, turning cooler with a low around 55. Partly cloudy tomorrow, with a high expected in the upper 70s.
Local broadcast of the McNeil Lehrer NewsHour is made possible by North Park Center, committed to bringing Texas world-class shopping. North Park Center, devoted to excellence in retail. And by American Express Travel-Related Services, a pioneer in corporate travel management worldwide. The American Express corporate card, serving over 2/3 of the Fortune 500 companies. And Enterprise Leasing and Rent-A-Car, providing automotive rental and leasing services in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex since 1979.
Good evening. I'm Margaret Warner in Washington.
And I'm Robert McNeil in New York. After tonight's news summary, Charlene Hunter-Gault in Damascus has an exclusive interview with President Assad of Syria. We have a report on the evidence in the Denny trial in Los Angeles, and the week's political analysis with Mark Shields, joined by Cato Burns.